Arthur met the love of his life, and the two began their own tour of Europe together as newlyweds. The pair spent a decent amount of time soaking in everything that Europe has to offer. How romantic!
Arthur Middleton.
Arthur Middleton.
Arthur Middleton.
Arthur Middleton was born in 1743 to an extremely wealthy rice planter in Charleston, South Carolina. When he turned 12 years old, Arthur was sent to study in London and was taught Greek and Roman classics at Westminster and Hackney. When he turned about 18 or 19, Arthur began studying at Cambridge University, where he gained a reputation for being an accomplished scholar and a moral man. He graduated just 3 or 4 years later with a Bachelor of Arts at the age of 22, at which point he began a grand tour of Europe. Having studied art in college, Arthur spent a great deal of time appreciating the painting and the music of Southern Europe. He even spent some time in Rome, learning principles of architecture and sculptures. Talk about learning from the masters! After spending about 2 years on his grand tour, he returned to South Carolina, ready to find someone to settle down with back in America. Well, it didn't take Arthur very long to meet the love of his life, Mary Izard, who he married shortly thereafter. And since Mary hadn't gotten to see everything that Arthur had seen during his grand tour, the two of them began their own tour of Europe together as newlyweds. And the pair spent a decent amount of time soaking in everything that Europe has to offer, especially in France and in Spain. Well, feeling satisfied with their journey, the pair returned home to America and finally settled down in Middleton Place, South Carolina. Since Arthur was a very well-educated gentleman, it's not a big surprise that he would be involved in his local government. In 1775, he was chosen to be part of a secret committee which organized the province's militia, and later in that year, he was appointed to represent his community in Congress to draft and to ratify the Declaration of Independence, which he did on the 4th of July, 1776, at the age of 34. During the Revolutionary War in 1779, South Carolina became overrun with British soldiers, and Arthur's plantation, as well as himself, fell to the British. He was taken to Florida while his home was ransacked and his extensive art collection was destroyed. Well, fortunately, his family had escaped to the north and hadn't had to experience the horrors of seeing their home destroyed. Arthur was finally released in July of 1781 with several other prisoners, including Edward Rutledge, finally getting to see his family back home safely again. Unfortunately, Arthur died just 6 years after being reunited with his family on the 1st of January, 1787, at the age of 43. Charles Augustus Goodrich writes of Arthur Middleton, "In his person, Mr. Middleton was of ordinary size, symmetrically proportioned, with fine features, and countenance expressive of firmness and decision." Arthur was a man who used his love of art and his extensive education to better not only his own life, but his family's life, as well as the welfare of his whole country, all at a great personal sacrifice to his personal possessions, as well as the possibility of his own life. The end.